Help me reach 5,000 subscribers. Please support the video with a like and share your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. Thank you. I never imagined that one evening could change everything I believed about my life. My name is Ethan Harper, and on the surface, I live what most people would call an ordinary life. Married, a steady job, a mortgage, and the kind of quiet stability many men admire. But tonight, at my wife Clara's company party, something unexpected happened. Something that reminded me that appearances can be misleading. Clara had been urging me for days to attend this event. "It's just a casual work gathering," she said, brushing aside my hesitation. But I knew her company parties were never truly casual. I'm not someone who enjoys showing off wealth or success, so corporate settings have always made me uneasy. My calm nature often comes across as quiet, even reserved. And I've noticed how certain people, those who thrive on authority and arrogance, tend to confuse quiet confidence with weakness. We arrived at the venue, a small but elegant rooftop bar downtown. Soft fairy lights wrapped around the pillars, and laughter echoed across the terrace. Clara looked stunning in a deep emerald dress that highlighted her hazel eyes. I offered her my arm, and for a brief moment, I let myself forget the tension I usually feel in social situations like this. As the night went on, coworkers mingled, drinks were passed around, and light conversation filled the air. Then it happened. Clara's boss, Gregory Blackwell, spotted me from across the room and walked over with that confident, slightly smug smile that always seemed stuck on his face. I had met him a few times before, usually quick handshakes and polite greetings, but tonight he seemed eager to test me. "Well, Ethan, I've heard quite a bit about you," Gregory said, his tone layered with quiet sarcasm. "Clara never mentioned you were this quiet. Not much of a presence, are you?" He laughed as if my supposed lack of importance amused him. I smiled calmly and shrugged. "I prefer to listen," I said. "You'd be surprised what you learn that way." He didn't respond right away. Instead, he leaned closer, lowering his voice just enough for Clara to tense beside me. "People like me notice things. Quiet men usually have nothing to offer, or something to hide." He looked me over slowly, his eyes sharp. "So which one are you?" For a moment, I said nothing. Most people would crumble under that kind of pressure, especially coming from someone in his position. But I've learned that you should never reveal everything about yourself until the right moment. The people nearby seemed to sense the tension. Clara squeezed my arm nervously. Gregory leaned back, clearly thinking he had unsettled me. That was his mistake. "I suppose it depends on how you define power," I said lightly. "Some people believe it's about what's visible. I think it's about what's earned quietly, without needing approval." He let out a sharp, forced laugh. "Earned? And what exactly have you earned, Mr. Harper?" I let the silence stretch. I could feel the curiosity growing around us. The stage was set. Clara glanced at me, surprise flickering in her eyes, along with something else I couldn't quite read. She had always known I was more than just a quiet husband, but tonight I realized no one else did, and that gave me a strange sense of control. Gregory tried again, his voice tightening. "People like me recognize talent and influence. It's obvious who matters in a room. So tell me, what do you do?" I chuckled softly. "I handle things that don't always need attention. People often mistake subtlety for weakness, but those who notice too late usually regret it." The words settled heavily in the air. A few guests exchanged glances. Gregory's confident expression flickered with unease. The challenge had been met without drama. Clara looked at me and smiled slightly. She whispered, "I've always known." That quiet moment made everything worth it. But the night wasn't finished. There were still assumptions to break and conversations ahead. The rest of the evening moved by in polite exchanges and half smiles. But I could feel Gregory watching me, trying to understand who I really was. Clara pulled me aside gently. "Ethan, be careful," she whispered. He doesn't like feeling challenged. I know, I said softly. Sometimes letting people believe they're in control is part of the experience. We rejoined the crowd, and almost instantly, Gregory returned with a drink in hand. I've worked with many impressive people, he said proudly. But you're different. Quiet, mysterious. I wonder if there's really anything behind it. I studied him, noticing the tension creeping into his posture. This was the moment. Enigma is another word for underestimated, I said quietly. And progress often happens that way, unnoticed until it's undeniable. His body stiffened. Doubt flashed across his face before he masked it with a tight smile. Around us, people watched with growing interest. Clara smiled softly. That's my husband, she whispered. I decided to end it calmly but firmly. Gregory, I said kindly, we often judge what we see on the surface and forget to look beneath it. It's always wise to understand the foundation before making assumptions. He froze for a moment, then laughed awkwardly and walked away. The mood of the room shifted. Quiet whispers followed him. Clara and I moved to the edge of the terrace, overlooking the city lights. She held my hand tightly. You didn't need to prove anything, she said gently. I didn't do it just for him, I said quietly, looking out at the skyline as the steady hum of the city eased my heartbeat. I did it for us, for the balance we've created in our lives. It isn't about ego, it's about clarity. The rest of the evening moved along with light conversation, drinks, and laughter that now felt sincere. Gregory had faded back into the crowd, surely replaying everything in his mind. But he no longer mattered to me. What mattered was the silent connection between Clara and me. The comfort of knowing I hadn't betrayed who I was, even in a place meant to intimidate. On the drive home, Clara rested her head against my shoulder. You were amazing tonight, she whispered. I never realized how respected you are in ways people don't notice. I smiled gently and squeezed her hand. People only see what they choose to see, I said. But those who truly pay attention, the ones who matter, they understand in time. And that's enough. Later that night, as we settled back into our home, I thought about the quiet strength of patience, awareness, and calm confidence. So many people spend their lives chasing attention, praise, and validation. Yet there is another kind of power in knowing your value and allowing the world to catch up when it's ready. Clara and I shared a peaceful moment. No words needed. The tension from earlier had turned into something meaningful we both felt. Not a victory for one of us, but a shared triumph. I realized then that life isn't about proving yourself to everyone who doubts you. It's about standing firm, keeping your integrity, and letting real character show itself naturally. When I finally lay down that night, the city softly alive outside our window, a deep sense of peace washed over me. The party, Gregory, the whispers, none of it held any weight anymore. What truly mattered was clarity, love, and the understanding that the quietest voices often carry the strongest power. In the end, that night reminded me that identity isn't what others believe about you. It's what you hold within, what you protect during challenges, and what slowly reveals itself when the world is ready to recognize it. And sometimes, just sometimes, the world doesn't need to see it right away. It's enough to know you've never lost your strength.